back, ladies and gentlemen, to Game Left Game Plays Diablo 3 and Necromancer Pack. On a little season journey here. And we're going to go ahead and get a little groove on. Thanks, Moose. What's going on, dude? It was an amazing Game of Thrones episode. I don't know if you watched that, but holy mackerel. Really great. Find the Qasim outpost. Not back here. Oh. Well, since I'm back here, I guess I'll do blacksmith sales.
Today, please look. You won't be disappointed.
Run to my stash hole. Hey, what's up, XZR? X0? 25? XZR. Oh boy. Thank you very much for the Craigasm, sir. Appreciate that. Damn, homie! Wait. Ah, it didn't put me next to... No bueno. Did it reset everything? I think it did. Yeah, it did. Hey man, I'm doing good. How are you? What's up, Jared? We are back indeed. But it reset us from where we were, so... It's alright. It's just more Diablo. Dinner was good, dude. What's up, Pocket Raptors? Dinner was solid. Game of Thrones was amazing. Great episode. They're rushing this season a little bit, but it's really fun anyway. Ah, two-handed flail. Yes, we have. That's observant of you. Yeah, dinner was solid. So we're back on the Necromancer grind a little bit. And yep, this whole level is reset, so that's alright. There's no stress. We just map it out again and go find our objectives. Bring Icy Hot with us. I love Diablo 3. One of my favorites.
The night embraces you.
A foulness hangs in the air. We must be getting
I
closer.
farted. Sorry about that. Oh, not that kind of foulness? Sorry. You have to be more specific about these things. We all derp sometimes. What are you gonna do? Oh my god. Oh, thanks.
The hounds are absorbed in their feast. This is my chance.
He's very happy we rescued him. I think that's the gist of what he's saying.
Please, take this for saving me. It is the least I can do.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm glad you hopped in too, X-Zero. Good to see you, dude. Hey, homie. Many Craigasms. Slowly wearing Vayne down, guys. Thanks again. I guess you're on your way? Taking off. Getting your chill on. Got people to see and things to do. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Catch you next time.
For once, the cultists are not using an illusion. The way is blocked. I must go through the Qasim outpost to the west.
Oh my goodness. All right.
Do not fear the end.
Give me that. Give it to me. Hey, you can't win them all, guys. What you gonna
This is
do?
a trade ship. It must have sailed here before the sea dried up long ago.
Probably.
Be careful. This ship is cursed by demons. We should be safe as long as we don't disturb it.
Oh, sure. Nasty Persons is watching us. Precious. So what, your D&D character talks like Schmeagol? It's kind of weird.
Weakness consumes you.
My god, it's so gross. Okay then. Seems to be our most effective tactic for pretty much everything.
It is with some reluctance that I write on the 7 Lords of Hell, for they are the greatest of the demons, and even whispering their names seems to poison the air around me. They are divided into the lesser evils, Belial, Asmodan, Juriel, and Andariel, and the prime evils, Mephisto, Baal, and Diablo.
I need you to open the gate.
You must be mad. But if you're intent on rushing headlong to your death, talk to Captain David down in the command post. He's got the gate key.
Here you are, delivered unto me as a sacrifice.
I always cannot wait to kill her.
Lord Belial.
Or he's setting you up to fail.
No, he would never betray me. Strike her down.
You never learn.
Not a moment too soon. They plan to sacrifice us to Belial. Iron Wolves, take back the town!
How's all the downloads going, Moose? Everything good? Or did you stop for the day? Leave my people alone. Take back the town. Baby, come back.
I wonder what happened to my son.
I don't know what happened to your son, dude. Alright, I got stuff to do. Got stuff to do. Stop for now.
It cannot be far. embraces
Oh, very nice. That's good. Happy birthday, little moose. Give me all your stuff.
Decay and rot.
Or explosive diarrhea.
Wild forces are closing in. Raise your weapon. Your friend Tyrael. The light of the Seraphim radiates from him.
He hails from the high heavens.
You have been blessed by many.
I don't know if they're the same thing. I really don't. I know they have similar usages, but I don't know if they're exactly the same thing. That's a good question.
I must wait.
That dude had to go. Oh my god.
You can't leave us here! I can't believe it's over.
The refugees await you in Chaldeum.
Oh, thank you.
This is the least we could do.
Yeah, that's what I guess that's what I was thinking in my head, Jared.
At last!
I wish we had come sooner.
I don't know where else I would be thinking it if not in my head, actually. But, you know, just saying.
Thank the gods. Put this place behind you.
I can't believe it's over.
The refugees await you in Chaldeum.
You have to leave now. You're gonna make me want to look it up, Moose. Okay then. Oh my god. It's not even right. Ew. Also true. There's a rate of decay, not a rate of rot.
This here means to attack you in Alcarnus. If I were you,
The
I
bathroom?
would set a trap at the Kasim outpost. But I am not you. For all I know, you wish to fail me again and force me to kill you. That would grieve me, though somehow I think I could manage it.
Alright, so decay is applied to organic matter is the same as rot. But decay doesn't have to be applied to organic matter, whereas I don't think rot would be applied to inorganic matter. What do I know? I'm just a streamer, guys.
I owe you everything.
It is over now. Rest easy.
Oh, he's still dying. I thought he was still alive for a second. Gotta go. We have? I mean, yes, of course we have. Of course we've done it. It's what we do. I guess we're staying.
The moment of your death draws.
So not very.
It matters not.
It's neither educational nor entertaining.
Belial's Imperial Guard captured your little witch Leah. Soon, her power shall be his.
Oh, fight. Run away!
She was consumed by shadow.
Now she rots.
Pains me to see it.
Now we've entered with consumed into the mix.
When I joined the Coven, it was weak and idle. The leaders were content to do nothing, while the prime evils were imprisoned. I convinced
Entropy.
another witch to help me poison them, and together we took control. She left.
Isn't that a Billy Joel song?
Years later, but
Entropy?
I continued, bringing the Coven to glory under Lord Belial.
Entropy is such a lonely word. Everyone is so.
I am returning to town.
Temporary? I don't know.
Caldeum is still in peril. Before she died, Magda revealed that Belial's treachery goes even deeper than we suspected.
Insanity.
I killed Magda. While we fought, she claimed that Belial used the Imperial Guard to capture Leah.
Then they must be holding the Emperor against his will. I tremble to think what Belial might do with Leah and her growing power. The only chance we have to rescue Leah is to wrest the Emperor from the grasp of the Imperial Guard.
We need to get into the city. Ashira might be able to help.
Alright. Oops. No.
Perfect.
I know. I like how she compliments me, it's nice.
A lovely piece.
You're welcome, baby. I like to give my girls nice things. That's better, Garrison. Wasn't even thinking about that. Bing! Talk to Ashira at the gates of Chaldean. Alright, let's go. I'll talk to her. If I figure out how to get to her, I'll talk to her.
Do you see that armor? No wonder she's
Captain Ravan, the condition... Ashira, the Emperor is in danger. I need to speak with him.
I heard what you did at Kasim Outpost in Alcanis. You have my thanks, and you shall have my help. Captain Ravan, this woman has vital information regarding the massacre in the Borderlands. We must see the Emperor at once.
Very well, but I don't think you'll find him receptive. Let them pass!
You can't treat me like this, like some commoner.
Alright. Not sure what happened to you guys while he was eating dinner, but
Let's go. I'll lead you to the
cool.
palace.
Got all deep in here.
You are bold to have sought this audience with me. My guards tell me you were responsible for the massacre of innocent villagers in Alcanis.
Your guards lied.
If you are innocent, then why do you have spies skulking through my sewers? Bring her in!
Let me go!
I detest violence. Guards, I leave this matter in your hands.
Really, it's gonna be okay there.
I knew you'd come for me. You are quite the optimist.
It's a great line. Too many afternoons babysitting siblings till mom came on. Fair enough.
I will cover your escape.
Alright.
Thank you. Now we need to get to the sewers. I'll explain why when we get there.
Because you like stinky things? Oh, that's disgusting.
These demons are blocking our way. We must destroy their summoning construct.
Done. Night, babe. Sleep well. I like big chests. That's fair.
There has to be a way into the sewers from here.
You mean the sewer cap?
This leads to the sewers.
Oh, that should do it.
I found my mother Adria. She's alive. But the Imperial Guard is holding her somewhere down here.
The Accursed were created when a necrotic plague spread through Kyrgyzstan centuries ago. The infected watched in terror as their flesh...
So Magda was telling the truth. Somehow I knew my mother was alive. I always knew it.
But there is still a reason she never...
My exemplary servants. Keep the witch alive until she talks. Pain will loose her tongue, but only to a point. Remember what happened with the Vizier's assistant? It was a pleasurable time, I admit, but the man had only incoherent babble and bloody strands of pus spilling from his lips by the end.
The deserts of Kyrgyzstan are majestic, expansive, and full of stinging swarms of insects. They may seem a minor nuisance, but these vermin carry numerous strains of pestilence. One of them was trapped in my boot once, and my foot swelled up to the size of a melon before the infection cleared. What horrible creatures!
Oh my lord. Dead end.
Only the most talented mages can summon skeletal guardians. It takes great power to form these tall, slim constructs from their unstable
Hey, Twinkle Sprinkles, thanks for the cheer, man. What's going on? Oh, damn.
Of a master, however, the guardian.
Adrian, up here.
Laying it down a bit, boss, dude.
Tell us about the Black Soul Stone.
Thank you very much.
We know of the 3 that the Horadrim used to trap the primeval. What is the purpose of this one?
Your master Belial has good reason to fear it.
Leave her alone!
Seize them!
You gotta die.
Leah, my daughter.
You know who I am?
My darling, I've watched over you all your life. But I never dared get close, because of the danger that always shadows me.
Speaking of which, let's get moving.
Fair enough.
I'm surprised Cain never told you why I left. He knew I was called to fight the Lords of Hell, and I knew he would keep you safe.
He's gone now.
Then it's fate that we have been reunited. Cain's work, your work, is my war.
According to the Horadric texts, only 2 evils remain. Belial is here in Chaldeum, and Azmodan has yet to reveal himself.
Wait, I didn't even see if they were upgrades, silly. Like that. There we go. It is truly empty. There's in no one accord or orderly. Alright, fair enough.
The guards were asking you about this Black Soul Stone. I remember reading about it in Uncle's journal, but it didn't seem important.
No, but it is. It is the key to defeating evil forever. It was created by the mage Zoltan Kulle to trap demonic
Wow,
souls.
this guy.
Yes, he was a renegade Horadrim, dismembered by his brethren before he could activate the Soul Stone. His head was sealed away in the Dulgur Oasis.
We must retrieve it, because if we're to use the Soul Stone to defeat Belial and Azmodan, Zoltan Kulle must live again.
I have a new ally. The witch, Adria. She believes that the Black Soul Stone will allow us to defeat the Lords of Hell. But this remains to be seen.
Okay. Let's try that for a little while. still like the one I have. Oh, excuse me. Sudden yawns for no apparent reason, other than tiredness.
It's disgusting. I've seen that woman going in and out of this. I think we may have a visitor up ahead.
Fair enough.
Listen to me. I cannot talk for long, but Lyle's guards are constantly watching me.
Are they?
Forgive me for my behavior at court. The guards would have killed me had I sided with you, but I will help you now as I can. You must be headed to the Oasis. I can open this gate for you.
Thanks. Boom. Big bada boom. Big bada boom.
Do not fear the end. Come aid us.
Explosive turtles. They're my favorite time of year.
The world looks so different in this age.
I can only imagine.
It is so beautiful.
Belial, Lord of Lies, is the most elusive of the seven evils, and is a master of deceit. It is said that he manipulated Asmodan into revolt against the Prime Evils. This began the Burning Hell's civil war, which ended with the dark exile of the Prime Evils to our mortal realm.
Poison.
It is easy
Be
to
alright.
focus on the dangerous foes one may encounter on the ground, but the Bloodhawks rule the skies with terrible ferocity.
We're gonna be
These
alright.
crimson-winged birds will wait until their prey is at a disadvantage, then swoop down to it. Watch for their shadows on the nearby terrain, and be prepared to flee quickly.
Weakness consumes you.
Though the champions are larger, and the lunatics more devastating, it is the shaman priests who lead the fallen. These shrunken, unintimidating demons can easily kill an enemy with their firebolts, but it is their ability to resurrect their imp allies that allows them to command such high respect from their peers.
You never cease to impress me.
I know, baby. What the? Oh.
Help me, please! Someone help!
You fool! Quiet, or I will rip your tongue from your mouth.
it's nice knowing you guys.
The enemy has destroyed Alcarnus and most of the cultists. The Master commands us to capture more slaves immediately. Go to the
I'm afraid
Oasis
not.
and abduct villagers. Kill any who resist. That way we shall both gain allies and destroy enemies.
Alright, fair enough. It's alright. You're so angry. Let's get out of here. This way, I guess.
Strange magic radiates from these foes.
Give me a treasure chest.
Oh my!
That needs to recharge.
Thank you for your loots. I appreciate it.
Help! Please help me! Help! Please help me! What is that noise? Oh no! They found us!
It's gonna be okay, buddy.
The Imperial Guards left me here to die, but you saved me. Thank you.
We will seek these guards you speak of. They will be punished for this.
Sorry, bird creature. No good for you, man.
Someone help!
Oh, thank you. I thought I was a dead man. I pick up garbage from the aqueduct so it doesn't ruin our water supply. Doesn't pay well, but I find plenty to sell. Have a look.
Oh, I'm good. See you later. Let's go. As we search for the next area. Hello, little monkey thing. Oh, this the spot? Oh man, this the spot or what? Yep.
We are in agreement. Cool, the renegade, must be stopped.
He seeks to duplicate the power of the stones and wield it for his own ends. He is obsessed with the powers of heaven and hell. Drawing their attention will only bring doom to us all.
Fair enough. Hello, very large person. Oh no.
During the Mage Clan Wars, the Visceri summoned giant demons to guard their estates. After years of patrolling the desert sands, the demons' hides became thick as stone and caked with grit. In the end, they have outlived their masters. Now, only the glowing
Big bada boom?
wounds on their skulls belie their true origins.
My master would take pride in this.
Not all dangerous demons are large and imposing. The dust imps are little more than children in size, but they possess the cunning and bloodlust of far larger creatures. They take cover in the shadows, emerging only when viable prey wanders too close. Then they ambush, leaving little more than bones behind them.
We set out in 1 week's time, into the desolate sands, to search for Kul's hidden archives. None of us have any idea what to expect. How far has Kul's madness driven him?
Good question.
How much power has he accumulated in his mad quest?
Better question.
I can only hope we are not too late.
Never-ending story. All right. Oh. I guess it's the food, but I'm suddenly tired. Where's this guy?
You will not enter the aqueducts.
I'll go wherever I want.
Demands your blood.
We're gonna stand each other now? Oh hey, who are you? Doesn't matter, you're dead.
I'm unable to get it open.
Talk to Adrian, the hidden camp.
I need to go back.
Very well.
If you keep going back, then you'll never improve. Ah! Leah, are you all right?
Yes, I think so.
I'm sorry to push you like this, but it will all be for the best in the end.
I know.
She knows.
It is time. Leah, cast the spell as I taught you.
Surgical consultation. I think you're still talking about entropy, honestly.
Again. Zoltan Kuul. We need you to activate the Black Soul Stone. We would use it to trap the last 2 Lords of Hell.
I know your voice, stranger. It has haunted me in death, just as it commanded me in life. Tyrael.
I am, but now mortal.
Ah, fate is whimsical.
Thanks.
I will give you the Black Soul Stone, but in exchange, I must be made whole once again.
It's gonna be alright, Moose.
You were treacherous before. How do I know you won't be an even greater threat once you've been fully revived?
You don't. So you must ask yourself, how much would you risk to save this wretched world?
Everything.
So be it. To begin, you will need to retrieve my blood from the dungeons where it has been hidden away. You will find them in the desolate sands beyond the aqueducts.
Okay.
I'm going to go with you. We should bring Cool's head with us. Maybe he'll have something useful to say. I'll put him in your bag.
Murderer, torturer, monster.
I'll put this head in your
These
bag.
were the titles
I love it.
bestowed upon Zoltun Kulle by the Horadrim. Though it cost them dearly, they killed the wizard for his crimes against nature and sealed his broken corpse within a shadow realm. It seems they were afraid he might return.
You're too kind.
Excuse me, guys. Here doesn't really matter till later, so. That's right. You know what?
Hey lady, I got some new things. You should take a look.
Into the waterway.
You're an interesting one, aren't you? I wonder if your friends know what you truly are.
I have no time to entertain your assumptions.
Oh, all will be revealed in time.
The crits just keep on coming.
More time to explore the great library of Chaldeum when this is all over.
You remind me of Cain.
Maybe, but they got to have books on the Black Soul Stone and Asmodan. Something that will help me understand his theories.
Everything dead. Well, that would be nice, Moose. Get a break like that.
Weakness consumes you.
Looks like the Duke boys are in trouble again.
Three centuries ago, a much smaller Chaldeum depended upon small wells for its
That would be nice, Moose.
Then came the mysterious Dalgur, offering Chaldeum an oasis of unparalleled splendor, located in an area previously thought to be desert, asking only that his name be permanently affixed to the land. Then he vanished into the wastes.
Nope, just these two, I think. Oh, I did get new skills I didn't check. Got a singularity. That seems unnecessary. Nope, we just have the Army of the Dead. Eventually we have Land of the Dead. Don't have that yet, though. First enemies explode on death. Oh, increase your maximum essence by 40? Hell yeah.
That is no ordinary corpse.
That's true. Didn't I already do Storm Cellar?
Oh, thank you. I thought I was a dead man. I pick up garbage from the aqueduct so it doesn't ruin our water supply. Doesn't pay well, but I find plenty to sell. Have a look. Oh, thank you. I thought I was a dead man. I pick up garbage from the aqueduct so it doesn't ruin our water supply.
You said that already.
I miss searching for lost artifacts with Uncle Deckard, even though it did have its dangerous side. I can't tell you how many times I had to drag him away from an army of skeletons because he was fixated on some dusty old tapestry.
What's up, Talshin? How you doing?
Overwhelm the enemy and seize her companions.
There we go. Found it.
And another, a girl. Bring them to me along with the Black Soul Stone. They will be searching for the head of Zoltun Kulle. Scour the oasis for it. Some old sorcery lingers on the skull, and it must be
I cannot
mine.
open this.
I can open this gate for you.
Thanks, dude.
You again.
No time for pleasantries. I think I may have uncovered Bilal's assumed identity. I'm very close. But here's what you need to know. To find Kulle's blood, you'll need to get through the aqueducts. There are two levers that control the entrance beneath the waterfall.
Fair enough.
Something foul came here before us. It's Belial.
So long as he lives, all of Chaldeum is under siege. Uncle Deckard theorized that the demon lords leave demons in their wake, much like us leaving footprints.
And you agree with him?
Yes. The more I study my uncle's books, the more I realize that even I took his wisdom for granted.
Goodness gracious.
I wish I could dispel the waterfall for you, but alas, this is no illusion.
I know this stench. Corpses.
I suppose...
It's dead, Jim. Again.
That is a powerful foe over there.
That needs to recharge.
Alright then.
I learned much from that.
You think? Holy crap.
Weakness consumes you.
Yay, treasure.
I used to love traveling, seeing the world. When the balance is lost, everything changes.
Yes,
Seems like it was.
you have no idea.
Give me all the stuff. Give to me all of the things, please. What kind of sewers are these? Oh, found it.
I see the lever.
Fantastic.
That's one lever down.
Yeah, that's what I'm playing, Talshian. It's pretty fun. It's a little overpowered, honestly. Although I am playing on normal, we'll see how it fares later on when we go up in difficulty levels. But
Waits for us down here.
We must stop her for our master!
Belial must really want you.
oh my lord. Thanks for playing. Yeah, that's true.
The night embraces you.
Pretty damn fun, though. Just racing in aqueducts, yeah.
The philosopher Haddas said, if you want to know the truth of a city, you need look no further than the state of its infrastructure.
Then Caldeum is rotten.
Yes.
Wow.
And built on secrets.
Starts being easy, yeah. I think I've only done it 4 times. I think this is my 5th run. Just because I jump around games so many times. I don't know what that is, Moose, but it didn't work. At least I don't think it worked.
That passage should lead to the Desolate Sands.
Relax, dude. Got some weird code on my end, Moose. Oh well. I was like, what did he say? A while ago. Oops.
A secret door hidden behind a waterfall. How imaginative.
What would you have done?
You shall see when we get to my archives.
I can't believe he stuck me in a barrel. Really?
I don't know, it just came up weird on the restream.
In here.
It looked like you had a quote and an equals after everything, but it looked fine on it. That's why I checked the Twitch chat. I don't know, it just came out weird on the restream for some reason. I thought you were trying to do a command.
Hello? Is there anyone alive out there? Are you still alive out there? Or is it the monk?
Thank you for releasing me. It was getting a little boring in there. I am seeking a magic crucible that legend says was hidden in these very aqueducts.
I'm doing e-driver.
A valuable addition to my jeweler's tools. Help me find it, and I will be greatly indebted to you.
Okay. One sec, guys.
Oh, how rude of me. I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Covetous Shen.
Only an enemy would name you that.
What? I have no enemies. Everybody loves Shen. I can't imagine why my young partner bashed me over the head and sealed me in there. This place is quite dangerous without a knowledgeable guide.
Wait, you were his guide?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
I
yes.
sailed around the world 5 times and never stubbed a toe.
And you thought I was odd.
Alright. Find the Crucible of the Hidden Aqueducts.
What a fascinating place this is. Oh, look at all this wonderful architecture. You could walk all the way around the world and never find its like. Except for this part. I've seen this somewhere else before.
Can I have all the stuff? Thank you. Dead end. Everybody does love Shen. Why not?
Now I wonder where my young guide got off to. His name was Gavin, I believe. Yes, that was it. Nice young fellow. He must still be around here also. Or perhaps he got lost. No, we're not lost, are we?
Jesus.
You know, it was was actually quite an interesting experience to be locked up in the barrel. I had a lot of time to think to myself. It was a little uncomfortable.
Crucible! It's mine!
Be careful, Gavin. It might be cursed. The crucible should be safe now. Pick it up. Pick it up.
I didn't pick it up. Oh, there it is.
Poor young man. If I had known the crucible was cursed, I never would have brought him along.
Ran over you peeps. Nice. Look, they didn't move, they lost their groove. That's awesome.
You go on ahead. I'm going back to town. I need to learn the spell needed to restore
I'll meet you when you
body.
get to the archives.
Same. But those others, the fallen angel, the witch, they're using you for their own ends.
Fair enough.
You choose to be their puppet. Yet the power of your birthright could make you a god.
I am a priest of Rathma. I serve a greater calling.
There's no need to be snide. Soon enough, I'll walk this world again. Then I'll show you what a Nephilim can achieve. My archives lie beneath this desert, perhaps even beneath the sands we now tread upon. The Horadrim could not destroy them. They could only lock the door behind them.
Could you be more specific about where they are?
Still have the key.
Mind if I just have all the stuff? Okay, thanks. Only the slow ones, nice.
The Lacuni were peaceful in my time. I wonder what has angered them so.
Probably all the exploding corpses. Alright, Talshin. Catch you, dude. Definitely try it. It's fun.
Weakness consumes you.
What's with the bridge?
We found Kuhl's archives. They were strangely empty at first, but Kuhl laid traps everywhere, each step harder than the next. It was foolish to expect otherwise. Kuhl has prepared for many years for someone to come for him. Perhaps we are fools, and yet we must push on.
Yet we must push on. We must go. I have many things to do. I think she just likes making corpses explode for fun at this point. I popped the magic dragon.
You must face another trial, my friend.
Oops, wrong button. There it is. Give me that. Give me that. Give it all to me. No, definitely nothing to do with drugs.
Miserable wretches. I have no time for your excuses. Chaldean is on the brink of rebellion, and the enemy is closing in on the archives of Zoltun Kulle. Slaughter her, and bring me the Mad Wizard's head and the Black Soulstone, or I shall inflict incomprehensible agony upon the lot of you!
Decay and rot!
Yay, corpses. Dude, no one in a rock band has ever done drugs. Come on. Especially not in the 60s. Insane. She okay?
My mother told me not to join the Major's army. I should have listened. In the morning they're sending the infantry against the Vigeri. I don't know how we're supposed to survive. Maybe we're not. It's so beautiful here. Maybe if I hid in the trees, they wouldn't notice I was gone.
Sometimes hide in the trees so things won't notice I'm gone.
Death nears.
I guess follow train's over. That was interesting before. It must have been highlighted on the app for some reason. Where are the Cave of the Betrayer and the Vault of the Assassin?
We, the Zakarum, have endeavored to make Chaldean a city of mercy and salvation, but we have not yet been able to convince the emperors to change the ancient policy of exile. Prisoners convicted of treason are still sent to the desolate sands to die, with nothing but the clothes on their backs.
I was thinking about that too, Jared.
Do not fear the end. There is no room. I am returning to town.
She's returning to town. With way too much loot and not enough happiness. but then it's hard to be happy. That's a cool looking helmet. It's actually an upgrade too. Let's put it on. All right. Oh, it's Joe time. It's always Joe time somewhere. Yeah, a little tired, guys, but I'm cool. Just kind of a little mellow right now. Sorry if I'm not prompting the conversation in the chat there. You guys seem to be doing fine being all philosophically crazy on your own, though. I like it. Diablo gets a little mindlessly grindy after a while, but it's cool. Got an hour till we read, so I don't think I'm going to stop now.
You must choose my skill.
Certainly not going to jump into like an MMO or anything. You are seeing into the future here. Aha! Finally.
These halls belonged to Zoltan Kuhl before they became his prison.
It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Insanity.
The grave beckons.
Can't move. I got caught in a hole after I made an explosion. Oops.
Zoltan Kuhl must have studied Vigerai magic. The protective spells on his guardians are similar to theirs.
Oh yeah?
The grave beckons.
Alright, dead end. We'll go this way.
Decay and rot.
I don't care what she says, as long as that ability keeps doing what it's doing.
I
have long waited for this knowledge.
XP on this level is crazy.
Weakness consumes you.
It's amazing how fast we blow through enemies.
Do you see that enemy over there? Let us cleanse it from this land.
I got worried too. It said stuff and nobody answered. I was like, okay, it's cool. I was about to ask you guys.
The Valrus manuscript lists Asmodan as the best battlefield commander of all demons, having defeated the angels many times in the eternal conflict across Pandemonium and the prime evils in the demonic civil war. If the Lord of Sin ever assaults our realm, we truly have much to fear.
The treasure goblins were a painting with the barbarian. Here that's just like, hey, it's dead. The amount of damage output is crazy. Oh yeah, Moose. No, relax away, dude. That's what we're doing. We're just chilling out, having a good time. Hopefully having a good time. I am. I'm in a little bit of a grind mode with this right now, but that's okay. Nice little mindless Sunday grind is kind of cool.
Do not fear the end.
Found it.
In thousands of years of records, I cannot find a single account of a prisoner surviving exile to the desolate sands. The wastes are littered with bones that have been picked dry by the endlessly circling bloodhawks or desperately
that sucks, Moose.
Those who die there meet their end without the sanctity of the light.
thanks for playing. How do you feel about being splattered with corpses? You're okay with it? Great. Plenty of downloads to complete.
Within that cave, I can feel it.
$64 gigs. That's not bad.
Pall of silence lays heavily here.
I believe with this soul stone, I will finally be able to unlock the true power of man. In ancient times, our kind possessed power unmatched in this dreary age. With the soul stone, I will be able to elevate myself to the strength of my ancestors.
Closing in. Raise your weapon.
Hold on, I'm trying to kill the treasure goblin.
I must wait.
Sound like I was doing a Bane impression? That would be unusual. I was born in the cave of these idiots. An adventurer? That's terrible.
The night embraces you. That was inspiring.
Maybe you have no idea. I take care of business, girl. I do work. Good job, Moose. All right. We'll go back this way.
Your death neared.
Okay then. It's almost like they built this class for people who want to move through fast because they're so used to playing the game over and over again.
Shadows deepen. We must be getting close.
Because you can really speedrun a little bit with this. And I'm not a speedrunner at all. I don't even know this game that well. Just make the entire screen explode. It's insane. No, rifts come later, Moose. These are just levels. Rifts are part of the end game.
I am returning to town.
I'm kind of embracing the speedrunning nature of it a little bit. Not that I'm speedrunning at all, but clearly not optimal to do that in any way, shape, or form.
This is well crafted.
Apparently that's terrible.
A gift?
What? It's confusing.
I got some new things. You should take a look.
Hey, lady! Get down on it. Guess we're going this way. Router overheated. That is weird. There you go. Good call.
the cycle.
The Black Soulstone will be my greatest work, my legacy, and my gift to humanity. There will be wars to come between man and the creatures of heaven and hell. My archives are at the northern tip of the Desolate Sands. There we will find my body and the Black Soulstone.
Fair enough. Let's go get it. One of the interesting things streaming has done is made me really tolerant of playing games for long periods of time. Other than MMOs, I never really used to grind games. I'd play for an hour or two and then change games or do something else.
Here is the entrance to my archives.
I'm like, oh, 10 hours of the same game? Alright. It's a little long, but we can do it.
And my experiments. The Black Soulstone was a complicated creation. I sacrificed much to make.
It looks like some weird version of the Fantastic Four right now.
Got here just in time. Emperor Hakan? What are you doing here?
Good, everyone's together. I came to tell you that I have found Belial, and I am ready to lead you to him.
Really?
All well and good, but first I will be made whole.
We're ready to do our part. Just you remember yours.
Look up there. Statues of Kul's guardians.
Beyond these portals lie two relics that were once powered by my blood. Take the vials you recovered, and you angels are no better than demons. Did you know that they once voted on whether or not to
Diablo Avengers, nice.
Mankind? Only one vote saved us from extinction.
Tyrion.
Yes, whatever else he may be, he is the aspect of justice, and there is no justice in murder.
I require a new skill.
Oh, do you?
These gates are treacherous. They keep us out, but they also keep Kul's wards inside.
Fair enough.
Decay and rot.
Whatever you say, man. She just turned them into chickens. That was pretty cool. Pick it up. Pick it up, man. Could be anywhere. Okay then.
Become Nephilim and ushered in a golden age. But
we will seal the Shadow Locks with vials of his blood, and we will hide the blood in the desert under eternal guard. I can only hope that the world does not forget of Kul's evil, and his blood remains undisturbed beneath the shifting sands.
Gotta go, Arcane Construct.
Finally, I have unlocked the secret of the Soul Stones once given to the Horadrim by Tyrael. An impressive creation, to be sure, but one that I am certain can be duplicated. No, not just duplicated, improved upon. My Soul Stone will be made to contain the souls of many demons, or even angels.
Demons or angels?
The night embraces you.
Alright, whatever works. Well, apparently, that is an accurate statement.
A fine corpse.
I like when they group them all together like that. It really is nice and easy.
Serve the cycle.
Maybe the most effective skill in this game, or any Diablo game ever. Just insane.
Decay and rot.
How did I run right by a chest?
We all agree that the end times are upon us. But do you truly believe that Belial and Asmodan could have engineered these events?
For now, they are the greatest threat.
It's right there, dude.
As we might, Kul simply cannot be killed. His cursed blood sustains him. He bleeds sand and laughter mocks us. There is only one course of action left to us. We will separate his body and his head, and hide the body within the Shadow Realm.
Shadow Portal lies here, waiting to be opened.
I think it's open.
The Horadrim did all this to lock my body away. They must have been very angry with me.
If they could not kill you, what else could they do?
They made feet and pounds illegal?
They were never very imaginative.
Weakness consumes you.
These abominations must die.
Do not fear the end. This world can abide you no longer.
A mighty foe has fallen.
Indeed.
Do not fear the end.
What's over here?
All must serve the cycle.
have both tasted what it is to be Nephilim. Join with me, and we can become the masters of this world.
Cool mocks my every step. I try to shut him out, but his chattering is ceaseless. He takes joy in taunting me. I will not rise to the bait. I will not give in to him. I long for the silence that will come once I secure his head away.
Search for upgrades.
Magnificent.
Okie dokie.
New goods today. Please look, you won't be disappointed.
There we go.
I have the body. Then let me begin the ritual. But I'm warning you, Cool. You'd better not cross us.
You are surrounded by deceit, young one. I am the least of your concerns. Concentrate, Leah. Soon now. Just a bit longer. Just a moment. Almost. Yes. My blood thunders within me. This fetid air fills my ravaged lungs. I am alive again.
You're welcome.
And the Soul Stone?
Very well. The bargain stands. Quickly, to my sanctum.
To my sanctum. Alright, let's go there.
At long last, I can complete my life's work. All will tremble at my power. What is this? How has this happened? The souls of the dead lords of hell have been absorbed into the stone. Abandon your quest, Nephilim. Your allies seek only to control you. With the power I offer, you and I could rule over all creation.
No. Give me the stone, or face me as
Oh, all right.
an enemy.
I'll stand back here.
Have been triggered. It seems my brothers have finally come looking for me. Damn them. I am not ready. Too much of my power is invested in the stone's creation. I must finish it. The few.
Is it true then? The slain lords of hell are within this stone.
20 years ago, during the darkening of Tristram, Cain told me of Zoltan Kuhl's profane soul stone.
That's why you left me. You went to mark the demon's souls so that they could be drawn into Kuhl's vessel.
Yes, my daughter. I have sacrificed everything for this.
Fair enough.
I am returning to town.
Just making sure there wasn't a chest hiding here.
This soul stone is a weak vessel. It may not be able to contain Belial and Asmodan as well as the others.
Then I will shatter it, and the lords of hell will be no more.
Fair enough.
We've got to reach the Emperor. He said he can lead us to Belial.
Are you certain we can trust the child?
We have no choice. But know this. If Belial gets desperate, he will unleash hell upon Chaldeum.
So before we face him, we must evacuate the citizens. The Iron Wolves can help.
Let us speak with them.
I will be right there. Come on, Wizrock.
Belial has started his attack on the city. Let's go. Ashira is already at the sewers.
Belial is retaliating against us. We must act.
When the fireballs began falling from the sky, we started evacuating the people. They will be safe here.
I'll find the others.
The Iron Wolves will assist you to the death.
I saw people hiding under the carts. Bring them to the sewers.
We can't risk our lives on this foolish heroism. We must go to the Emperor.
Who has brought this wrath down upon us?
Never believed it would end like this.
Come, child.
How do you wish to die?
What is happening?
We have nowhere to hide. Who has brought this wrath down?
There's no one here.
Watch out! Keep the people away from those...
Now to the gates. We have no time to lose.
Get in there, you little bastards. Everybody get in there. I missed one? Oh well.
Now, Leah, use your power just the way I taught you and bring down these gates.
Just the way I
Back.
taught you.
I still can't fully control it.
Do not worry about us.
You dare stand in our way?
We won.
We won. We won! We're amazing!
Kneel before the servants of Belial.
That sorcerer's illusion blocks our path. Kill him.
Let's go, YOLO Bob.
Only you can defeat this monstrosity.
Again, daughter.
I feel so weak. I don't know if I can.
You must.
Cut it out.
Now! The strength lies within you, Leah.
It is up to you now. Hurry! I must stay here and tend to Leah.
Okay, hold on a second. Let's change this, I think. To... No, I guess not.
These deserts are so empty.
Is that
Maybe that.
strange to you?
No. There is an emptiness within me as well.
We want to do that. Oh, we want that, right? Yeah. We're about to fight Belial, so I'm just making sure we have stuff that deals single target. Yeah, I know. Oops. Wrong button. I think we're okay.
Praise the gods, you've arrived just in time.
Don't lie to me.
Show me the Soul Stone.
Do you seek a new prison, Belial?
Clever, but know this, Nephilim. Azmodan knows of the stone and the power it contains. Even if you defeat me, he will exterminate you and every last one of your misbegotten kind.
Fair enough. Bring it. Bring it, mister. Did I put on one? I fucked up one.
I will not be undone! This world is mine!
Oh, you're gonna be disappointed in this outcome, I think.
I cast off illusions. Behold, the true vision of the Lord of Hell!
Fair enough. Stop that. That's actually not what I wanted, but it worked out. He's a little cranky, yeah.
Quickly, Leah. Seal Belial's soul within the stone. It is ironic that one as twisted as Zoltan Kulle played so great a role in our salvation.
Kulle was once a tireless enemy of Hell. From his life, let us learn. The longer we fight evil, the more it can corrupt our hearts.
Fair enough.
I am returning to town.
Thank you for all of the things.
Today is a good day. You have liberated this land and brought low a Lord of Hell. Enjoy this moment, for tomorrow our war continues.
Yay, war.
There is no time for rest. Even now, Azmodan plots our destruction.
The Lord of Sin is an uncanny tactician. He'll attack us where he believes we'll least expect it.
And where defeat would break our will to resist.
Well, that's not true.
Well, Leah.
But
Now
it is
you
true.
must go to Caldeum's great library and continue with your uncle's work.
Part 2 indeed. I think I want to trade this out, I'm pretty sure. I don't think I have a one-hander yet. I know what you were talking about, Jared. No, that's 2 acts, guys. It's time to read. So,
I can be ready to leave at a moment's notice.
well, let's
Let
go.
me know.
This is your moment.
None of this makes any sense.
To help your boss. There you go.
What am I missing, Uncle? What am I supposed to see?
This is a great cutscene.
You thought you were so clever. That you'd outwitted us all. One by one.
Sorry, guys.
Fell into your trap. But not me. I defy you. I know the Black Soul Stone is the key, and it shall be mine. Soon my army will forth from the shattered mountain, ravaging this world and all hope of resistance. My minions will find the stone, wherever you choose to hide it. Then, at long last, Osmodan shall reign as the prime evil.
Leah, are you all right? Speak to me, child.
Arian. The demon's invasion will come from Arian.
Leah has learned where our journey leads. Asmodan's forces will strike from the depths of Ariat Crater. That leaves the soldiers at Bastion's Keep to bear the brunt of his attack. I must ensure that they are victorious.
Fair enough. Good game choice today, guys.
The keep's defenses cannot hold. Its soldiers are scattered, fleeing before Asmodan's onslaught. which rushes forth from Ariat Crater. Should the keep fall, Asmodan will claim the Black Soul Stone. If he does, there will be no hope for this world.
I will not let that
Light the signal fires, and show these soldiers that we are not yet defeated. Salvation has arrived.
Fair enough.
You are needed below.
It's just a damn fun game, Moose. If you're a Diablo fan, you really can't go wrong. But for now, we're going to call it a night with Diablo and begin the second book of our reading stream. Eventually. How many heroes do I have? Just the wizard, right? Yeah. Played for 8 hours and 41 minutes with her today. It's like more. Oh, I did play Rocket League for an hour or two or so, right? It's me, guys. So we going to exit Diablo 3. Looks pretty freaky right now too. And we're going to transition over to reading. So we're going to change that book, obviously. Odd skin. I don't know why it's more narrow, it's weird. Ah, there we go, I just had it superimposed. Very good. You're able to log on to Blizzard without issue, nice. Alright, I am going to use the bathroom, guys. And, wait, let me change titles before I do that, because I will forget. Just change this to creep. Action RPG. Put in chill. Put in reading. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Look at me, I'm in front of the curtain. I'm over here. Strange. Strange fellow. I'll be right back. Alright, ladies and gentlemen. Last night, we finished Pawn of the Prophecy by David Eddings, Book 1 of the Bulgariad, and tonight we will begin Book 2 of the Bulgariad, The Queen of Sorcery. Mr. Eddings' dedication is for Helen, who gave me the most precious thing in my life, and for Mike, who taught me how to play. I should move this lamp closer immediately. The map, fortunately, remains unchanged. We have the same map in the front of Queen of Sorcery that we do in the front of Pawn of the Prophecy. I'm not sure if that's the case all the way through, but it might be. Here's the Storm of Hearthstone. I've played them both, Jared, what's up? I enjoy Hearthstone very much. I played it a lot for a while, right up until I started streaming pretty much. I used to do my daily quests every day and even did a little bit of competitive play. And apparently Twinkle Sprinkles really wanted his name up on that on that event list, huh? Last book is different. That makes sense from what I remember. But and I've played Heroes of the Storm, and X-Wing Zero plays Heroes of the Storm a lot, as does his brother. But I'm terrible at it, and I really don't get the game. I've just never played MOBAs before. Why? What's up? You're not gonna tell me. Stream delay is awesome. All right. Oh no, I probably won't be playing any of it. I thought you were going to ask questions about it. Alright, so we begin the Queen of Sorcery as we did the Pawn of the Prophecy with a prologue. Being an account of the Battle of the Kingdoms of the West against the most heinous invasion and evil of Kaltorak, based upon the Battle of Vomimbre. The youth of the world, the evil god Torak, stole the Orb of Aldur and fled, seeking dominion. The orb resisted, and its fire maimed him with a dreadful burning, but he would not give it up, for it was precious to him. Then Belgarath, a sorcerer and disciple of the god Aldur, led forth the king of the Alorns and his 3 sons, and they reclaimed the orb from the iron tower of Torak. Torak sought to pursue, but the wrath of the orb repelled him, and drove him back. Belgarath set Cherik and his sons to be kings over 4 great kingdoms, in eternal guard against Torak. The orb he gave to Riva to keep, saying that so long as the descendant of Riva held the Orb of the West would be safe. Century followed... both those games are free though, Moose, on Blizzard, so just so you know. Century followed Century with no menace from Torak until the spring of 4865 when Drasnia was invaded by a vast horde of Nadraks, Thuls, and Murgos. In the center of this sea of Angarax was born a huge iron pavilion of one called Kaltorak, which means king and god. Cities and villages were razed and burned, for Kaltorak came to destroy, not to conquer. Those of the people who lived were given to the steel-masked Grollam priests for sacrifice in the unspeakable rites of the Angarax. None survived, save those who fled to Algaria, or were taken from the mouth of the Alder River by Cherik warships. Next the horde struck south at Algaria, but there they found no cities. Nomadic Algarian horsemen fell back before them, then struck in vicious hit-and-run tactics. The traditional seat of the Algarian kings was the stronghold, a man-made mountain with stone walls 30 feet thick. Against this the Angarax hurled themselves in vain before settling down to besiege the place. The siege lasted for 8 futile years. This gave the West time to immobilize and prepare. Mobilize, not immobilize. The generals gathered at the Imperial War College in Tal Haneth and planned their strategy. National differences were set aside, and Brand, the warder of Riva, was chosen to have full command. With him came 2 strange advisors, an ancient but vigorous man who claimed knowledge even of the Angarak kingdoms, and a strikingly handsome woman, with a silver lock at her brow and an imperious manner. To these Brand listened, and to them he paid almost deferential respect. In the late spring of 4875, Kaltorak abandoned his siege and turned west toward the sea, pursued still by Algar horsemen. In the mountains, the Ulgos came forth from their caverns by night, and wreaked fearful slaughter upon the sleeping Angaraks. But still were the forces of Kaltorak beyond counting. After a pause to regroup, the host proceeded down the valley of the river Arend, toward the city of Omimbre, destroying all in its path. Early in the summer, the Angaraks deployed for the assault upon the city. On the 3rd day of the battle, a horn was heard to blow 3 times. Then the gates of Omimbre opened, and the Mimbrate knights charged out to fall upon the front of the Angarak horde, the iron-shod hooves of their chargers trampling living and dead. From the left came the Algar cavalry, Drasnian pikemen, and veiled Ulgo irregulars. And from the right came the Cherik berserks and the legions of Talnedra. Attacked on 3 sides, Kaltorak committed his reserves. It was then that the grey-clad Revans, the Sendars, and the Astorian archers came down upon his forces from the rear. The Angaraks began to fall like mown wheat, and were overcome by confusion. Then the apostate, Zedar the sorcerer, went in haste to the black iron pavilion from which Kaltorak had not yet emerged. And to the accursed one he said, "Lord, thine enemies have thee surrounded in great numbers. Yes, even the grey Revans have come in their numbers to cast defiance at thy might." Kaltorak arose in anger and declared, "I will come forth, and the false keepers of Crag Yaska, the jewel which was mine, shall see me, and no fear of me. Send to me my kings." "Great lord," Zedar told him, "thy kings are no more. The battle hath claimed their lives, and those of a multitude of thy Gralum priests as well." Kaltorak's wrath grew great at these words, and fire spat from his right eye and from the eye that was not. He ordered his servants to bind his shield to the arm on which he had no hand, and he took up his dread black sword. With this he went forth to do battle. Then came a voice from the midst of the Revans, saying, "In the name of Belar I defy thee, Torak. In the name of Aldor I cast my despite in thy teeth. Let the bloodshed be abated, and I will meet thee to decide the battle. I am Brand, Warden of Riva. Meet me, or take thy stinking host away, and come no more against the kingdoms of the West." Kaltorak strode apart from the host and cried, "Where is he who dares pit his mortal flesh against the king of the world? Behold, I am Torak, king of kings and lord of lords. I will destroy this loud-voiced Revan. Mine enemies shall perish, and Crag Yaska shall again be mine." Brand stood forth. He bore a mighty sword and a shield muffled with cloth. A grizzled wolf marched at his side, and a snowy owl hovered over his head. Brand said, "I am Brand, and I will contend with thee, foul and misshapen Torak." When Torak saw the wolf, he said, "Begone, Belgarath! Flee if thou wouldst save thy life." And to the owl he said, "Abjure thy father, Polgara, and worship me. I will wed thee, and make thee queen of the world." But the wolf howled defiance, and the owl screeched her scorn. Torak raised his sword and smote down upon the shield of Brand. Long they fought, and many and grievous were the blows they struck. Those who stood near to see them were amazed. The fury of Torak grew, and his sword battered the shield of Brand until the warder fell back before the onslaught of the accursed one. Then the wolf howled, and the owl shrieked in one voice together, and the strength of Brand was renewed. With a single motion, the Revan warder unveiled his shield, in the center of which stood a round jewel, its size like the heart of a child. And Torak gazed upon it, and the stone began to glow and flame. The Accursed One drew back from it. He dropped his shield and sword and raised his arms before his face to ward away the dread fire of the stone. Brand struck, and his sword pierced Torak's visor to strike into the eye that was not, and plunged into the Accursed One's head. Torak fell back and gave a great cry. He plucked out the sword and threw off his helmet. Those who watched recoiled in terror, for his face was seared by some great fire, and was horrible to behold. Weeping blood, Torak cried out again as he beheld the jewel which he had named Thrag Yaska, and for which he had bought his war to the west. Then he collapsed, and the earth resounded with his fall. A great cry went up from the host of Angarax when they saw what had befallen Kal Torak, and they sought to flee in their panic. But the armies of the west pursued them and slew them, so that when the smoky dawn broke on the 4th day, the host was no more. Brand asked that the body of the Accursed One be brought to him, that he might behold him who would be king of all the world. But the body was not to be found. In the night, Zedar the sorcerer had cast an enchantment and passed unseen through the armies of the west, bearing away the one he had chosen as master. Then Brand took counsel with his advisers, and Belgarath said to him, "Torak is not dead. He only sleeps, for he is a god and cannot be slain by any mortal weapon." "When will he awaken?" Brand asked. "I must prepare the west against his return." Bulgara answered, "When once again the king of Riva's line sits on his northern throne, the dark god will waken to do war with him." Brand frowned, saying, "But that is never," for all knew that the last Revan king had been slain with his family in 4002 by Nayishan assassins. When the woman spoke. "In the fullness of time, the Revan king will rise to claim his own, and the ancient prophecy foretells. More cannot be said." Brand was content, and set his armies to cleaning the battlefield of the wreckage of the Angarax. And when that was finished, the kings of the west gathered before the city of Omimbre and held council. Many were the voices raised in praise of Brand. Soon men began to cry that Brand should henceforth be chosen as the ruler of all the west. Only Murgan, ambassador of Imperial Talnedra, protested in the name of his emperor Ranbarun IV. Brand refused the honor. The proposal was dropped, so that there was again peace among the assembled in council. But in return for peace, a demand was made of Talnedra. The Gorham of the Ulgos spoke first in a loud voice. "In fulfillment of the prophecy, there must be a princess of Talnedra to be wife unto the Revan king, who will come to save the world. This the gods require of us." Again Murgan protested. "The hall of the Revan king is empty and desolate. No king sits upon the Revan throne. How may a princess of Imperial Talnedra be wed with a phantom?" Then the woman who was Polgara replied, "The Revan king will return to assume his throne and claim his bride from this day forward, therefore. Each princess of Imperial Talnedra shall present herself in the hall of the Revan king upon her 16th birthday. She shall be clad in her wedding gown, and shall abide there for 3 days, against the coming of the king. If he comes not to claim her, then she shall be free to return to her father, or whatever he may decree for her." Murgan cried out, "All Talnedra shall rise against this indignity. No, it shall not be." The wise Gorham of the Ulgos spoke again. "Tell your emperor that this is the will of the gods. Tell him also that it is that in the day that Talnedra fails in this, the west shall rise against him and scatter the sons of Nedra to the winds, and pull down the might of the empire until Imperial Talnedra is no more." At that, seeing the might of the armies before him, the ambassador submitted in the matter. All then agreed, and were bound to it. When that was done, the nobles of a strife-torn Erendia came to Brand, saying, "The king of Mimbrates is dead, and the Duke of Astorias also. Who shall now rule us? For 2,000 years has war between Mimbre and Astoria rent fair Erendia." How may we become one people again? Brand considered. Who is heir to the Membrate throne? Corydellin is crown prince of the Membrates, the nobles replied. And to whom descends the Asturian line? Mecerana is the daughter of the Asturian duke, they told him. Brand said, Bring them to me. And then they were brought before Brand. He said to them, The bloodshed between Membrae and Astoria must end. Therefore it is my will that you be wed to each other, and that the houses which so long have warred shall just thus be joined. The two cried against the judgment. They were filled with ancient enmity, and with the pride of their separate lines. But Belgarath took Corydellin aside and spoke in private with him. Polgara withdrew Mecerana to a separate place, and was long in converse with her. No man learned then or later what was said to the two young people, but when they returned to where Brand waited, Mecerana and Corydellin were content that they should be wed. And this was the final act of the council that met after the battle of Omimbre. Brand spoke to all the kings and nobles one final time before departing for the north. Much has been wrought here that is good and shall endure. Behold, we have met together against the Angarax, and they have been overthrown. Evil Kaltorak is quelled, and the covenant we have made here among us prepares the west for the day of the prophecy, when the Revan king shall return and Torak shall wake from his long sleep, to contend again for empire and dominion. All that may be done in this day is to prepare for the great and final war. Has been done. We can do no more. And here, perchance, the wounds of Erendia have been healed, and the strife of more than 2,000 years may see its end. So far as may be, I am content with it all. Hail, then, and farewell. He turned from them and rode north, with the grizzled man who was Belgarath and the queenly woman who was Polgara by his side. They took ship at Kamar in Sandaria and set sail for Riva. And Brand returned no more to the kingdoms of the west. But of his companions are many tales told, and of that telling, what may be true and what may be false, men may know. Hey, Doc. What's going on, dude? We've started a little book too. You guys know it's whispering it to you on Twitch, right? It doesn't come in the browser or anything, or in the chat. It actually whispers to you. Just want to see if mine's working. Oh, it's broken. Yeah, it's not working right now. Let me look at the command. Someone's deleted the command. Oh, maybe not. Mission everyone, group general. True, Twitch chat. Weird. Vane's working on it. It looks fine. I don't see any reason it wouldn't be working, so. Alright, do your thing, Vane. Nope, I got nothing, dude. I see your edit too, but it's not working. Anyway. Chapter 1. Voak Hoon was no more. 24 centuries had passed since the city of the Wassite Arends had been laid waste. The dark, endless forest of northern Erendia had reclaimed the ruins. Broken walls had toppled and been swallowed up in the moss and wet brown bracken of the forest floor, and only the shattered stumps of the once proud towers bouldered among the trees of the fog to mark the place where Vo Wakun had stood. Sodden snow blanketed the mist-shrouded ruins, and the trickles of water ran down the faces of ancient stones like tears. Garion wandered alone down the tree-choked avenues of the dead city, and his stout grey-wool cloak drawn tight against the chill, and his thoughts as mournful as the weeping stones around him. Faldor's farm, with its green, sun-drenched fields, was so far behind him that it seemed lost in a kind of receding haze, and he was desperately homesick. No matter how hard he tried to hold on to them, details kept escaping him. The rich smells of Aunt Pol's kitchen were only a faint memory. The ring of Dernick's hammer in the smithy faded like the dying echo of the last note of a bell, and the sharp, clear faces of his playmates wavered in his remembrance of them until he could no longer be sure that he would even recognize them. His childhood was slipping away, and try though he might, he could not hold on to it. Everything was changing. That was the whole problem. The core of his life, the rock upon which his childhood had been built, had always been Aunt Pol. In the simple world of Faldor's farm, she had been Mistress Pol, the cook. But in the world beyond Faldor's gate, she was Polgara the sorceress, who had watched the passage of 4 millennia, the purpose beyond mortal comprehension. Cool. He could just get his own channel. He really wanted to do that. And Mr. Wolf, the old vagabond storyteller, had also changed. Garion knew now that his old friend was in fact his great-great-grandfather, with an infinite number of additional greats added on for good measure. But that behind that roguish old face, there had always been the steady gaze of Belgarath the sorcerer, who had watched and waited as he had looked upon the folly of men and gods for 7,000 years. Garion sighed and trudged on through the fog. Their very names were unsettling. Garion had never wanted to believe in sorcery or magic or witchcraft. Such things were unnatural, and they violated his notion of solid, sensible reality. But too many things had happened to allow him to hold on to his comfortable skepticism any longer. In a single shattering instant, the last vestiges of his doubt had been swept away. As he had watched with stunned disbelief, Aunt Pol had erased the milky stain from the eyes of Marchi the Witch with a gesture and a single word, restoring the madwoman's sight and removing her power to see into the future with a brutal even-handedness. Garion shuddered at the memory of Marchi's despairing wail. That cry somehow marked the point at which the world had become less solid, less sensible, and infinitely less safe. Uprooted from the only place he had ever known, unsure of his identities of the two people closest to him, and with his whole conception of the difference between the possible and the impossible destroyed, Garion found himself committed to a strange pilgrimage. He had no idea what they were doing in the shattered city swallowed up in the trees, and not the faintest idea where they could go when they left. The only certainty that remained to him was a single grim thought to which he now clung. Somewhere in the world there was a man who had crept through the pre-dawn darkness to a small house in a forgotten village, and had murdered Garion's parents. If it took him the rest of his life, Garion was going to find that man, and when he found him, he was going to kill him. There was something strangely comforting in that one solid fact. He carefully climbed over the rubble of a house that had fallen outward into the street, and continued his gloomy exploration of the ruined city. There was really nothing to see. The patient centuries had erased nearly all of what the war had left behind, and slushy snow and thick fog hid even those last remaining traces. Garion sighed and began to retrace his steps toward the moldering stump of the tower where they had all spent the previous night. As he approached, he saw Mr. Wolf and Aunt Pol standing together some distance from the ruined tower, talking quietly. The old man's rust-colored hood were turned up, and Aunt Pol's blue cloak was drawn about her. There was a look of timeless regret in her face as she looked out at the foggy ruins. Her long dark hair spilled down her back, and the single white lock at her brow seemed paler than the snow at her feet. "There he is now," Mr. Wolf said to her as Garion approached him. She nodded and looked gravely at Garion. "Where have you been?" she asked. "No place," Garion replied. "I was thinking, that's all." "See, you've managed to soak your feet." Garion lifted one of his sodden brown boots and looked down to the muddy slush clinging to it. "The snow's wetter than I thought," he apologized. "Does wearing that thing really make you feel better?" Mr. Wolf asked, pointing at the sword Garion always wore now. "Everyone keeps saying how dangerous Erendia is," Garion explained. "Besides, I need to get used to it." He shifted the creaking new leather sword belt around until the wire-bound hilt was not so obvious. The sword had been an Iristide present from Barak, one of several gifts he had received when the holiday had passed while they were at sea. "It doesn't really suit you, you know," the old man told them somewhat disapprovingly. "Leave him alone, Father," Aunt Paul said, almost absently. "It's his, after all, and he can wear it if he likes." "Shouldn't Hedar be here by now?" Garion asked, wanting to change the subject. "He may have run into deep snow in the mountains of Sandaria," Wolf replied. "He'll be here. Hedar's very dependable." "I don't see why we didn't just buy horses in Kamar." "They wouldn't have been as good," Mr. Wolf answered, scratching at his short white beard. "We've got a long way to go, and I don't want to have to worry about a horse foundering under me somewhere along the way. It's a lot better to take a little time now and then, to lose more time later." Garion reached back and rubbed at his neck, where the chain of the curiously carved silver... It's starting. Garion reached back and rubbed at his neck, where the chain of the curiously carved silver amulet Wolf and Aunt Paul had given him for Iristide had chafed his skin. "Don't worry at it, dear," Aunt Paul told him. "I wish you'd let me wear it outside my clothes," he complained. "Nobody can see it under my tunic." Yawning stream time. "It has to be next to your skin." "It's not very comfortable. It looks nice enough, I suppose, but sometimes it seems cold, and other times it's hot, and once in a while it seems to be awfully heavy. The chain keeps rubbing at my neck. I guess I'm not used to ornaments." "It's not entirely an ornament, dear," she told him. "You'll get used to it in time." Wolf laughed. "Maybe it'll make you feel better to know that it took your aunt 10 years to get used to hers. I was forever telling her to put that back on." "I don't know that we need to go into that just now, Father," Aunt Paul answered coolly. "Do you have one too?" Garion asked the old man, suddenly curious about it. "Of course." "Does it mean something that we all wear them?" "It's family custom, Garion," Aunt Paul told him in a tone that ended the discussion. The fog eddied around them in a chill swamp breeze. Damp breeze. Briefly swirled through the ruins. Garion sighed. "I wish Hedar would have get here. I'd like to get away from this place. It's like a graveyard." "It wasn't always this way," Aunt Paul said very quietly. "What was it like?" "I was happy here. The walls were high and the towers soared. We all thought it would last forever." She pointed toward a rank patch of winter-brown brambles creeping over the broken stones. Over there was a flower-filled garden where ladies in pale yellow dresses used to sit while young men sang to them from beyond the garden wall. The voices of the young men were very sweet. The ladies would sigh and throw bright red roses over the wall to them. And down that avenue was a marble-paved square where old men met to talk of long-forgotten wars and long-gone companions. Beyond that there was a house with a terrace where I used to sit with friends in the evening, to watch the stars come out while a boy brought us chilled fruit. The nightingales sang as if their hearts were breaking. Her voice drifted off into silence. "But then the Arthurians came," she went on, "and there was a different note then. You'd be surprised at how little time it takes to tear down something that took 1,000 years to build." "Don't worry at it, Paul," Wolf told her. "These things happen from time to time. There's not a great deal we can do about it." "I could have done something, Father," she replied, looking off into the ruins. "But you wouldn't let me, remember?" "Do we have to go over that again, Paul?" Wolf asked in a pained voice. "You have to learn to accept your losses. The Wassider were doomed anyway. At best, you'd have been only able to stall off the inevitable for a few months. We're not who we are and what we are in order to get mixed up in things that don't have any meaning. So you said before. She looked around at the filmy trees, marching away... Really? She looked around at the filmy trees marching away in the fog down the empty street. I didn't think the trees would come back so fast, she said with a strange little catch in her voice. I thought I might have waited a little longer. It's been almost 25 centuries, Paul. Really? Seems like only last year. Don't brood about it. It'll only make you melancholy. Why don't we go inside? Fog's beginning to make us all a bit moody. Unaccountably, Aunt Poll put her arm about Garion's shoulders as they turned toward the tower. Her fragrance and the sense of her closeness brought a lump to his throat. The distance that had grown between them in the past few months seemed to vanish at her touch. The chamber in the base of the tower had been built of such massive stones that neither of the passage of centuries nor the silent probing tendrils of tree roots had been able to dislodge them. Great shallow arches supported the low stone ceiling, making the room seem almost like a cave. At the end of the room, opposite the narrow doorway, a wide crack between two of the rough-hewn blocks provided a natural chimney. Dernick had soberly considered the crack the previous evening when they had arrived, cold and wet, and then had quickly constructed a crude but efficient fireplace out of the rubble. "It'll serve," the smith had said. "Not very elegant, but good enough for a few days." As Wolf, Garion, and Aunt Poll entered the low, cave-like chamber, a good fire crackled in the fireplace, casting looming shadows among the low arches and radiating a welcome warmth. Dernick, in his brown leather tunic, was stacking firewood along the wall. Barrick, huge, red-bearded and mail-shirted, was polishing his sword. Silk, in an unbleached linen shirt and black leather vest, lounged idly on one of the packs, toying with a pair of dice. "Any sign of Hedda yet?" Barrick asked, looking up. "It's a day or so early," Mr. Wolf replied, going to the fireplace to warm himself. "Why don't you change your boots, Garion?" Aunt Poll suggested, hanging her blue cloak on one of the pegs Dernick had hammered into a crack in the wall. Garion lifted his pack down from under the peg and began rummaging through it. "Your stockings, too," she added. "Is the fog lifting at all?" Soak asked Mr. Wolf. "Not a chance." "If I can persuade you all to move out from front of the fire, I'll see about supper," Aunt Poll told them, suddenly very businesslike. She began setting out a ham, a few loaves of dark, pleasant bread, a stack of dried peas, and a dozen or so leathery-looking carrots, humming softly to herself as she always did when she was cooking. "See you later, Jared." The next morning after breakfast, Garion pulled on his fleece-lined overvest, belted on his sword, and went back out into the fog-muffled ruins to watch for Hedar. It was a task to which he had appointed himself, and he was grateful that none of his friends had seen fit to tell him that it wasn't really necessary. As he trudged through the slush-covered streets toward the broken west gate of the city, he made a conscious effort to avoid the melancholy brooding that had blackened the previous day. Since there was absolutely nothing he could do about his circumstances, chewing on them would only leave a sour taste in his mouth. He was not exactly cheerful. He was not exactly cheerful when he reached the low piece of wall by the west gate, but he was not precisely gloomy either. The wall offered some protection, but the damp chill still crept through his clothes, and his feet were already cold. He shivered and settled down to wait. There was no point in trying to see any distance in the fog, so he concentrated on listening. His ears began to sort out the sounds in the forest beyond the wall. The drip of water from the trees, the occasional sodden thump of snow sliding from the limbs, and the tapping of a woodpecker working on a dead snag several hundred yards away. "That's my cow," a voice said suddenly from somewhere off in the fog. Garion froze and stood silently, listening. "Keep her in your own pasture, then," another voice replied shortly. "Is that you, Lamar?" the first voice asked. "Right. You're Denton, aren't you?" "I didn't recognize you. How long has it been?" 4 or 5 years, I suppose." "How are things going in your village?" "We're hungry. The taxes took all our food. Us too. We've been eating boiled tree roots. We haven't tried that yet. We're eating our shoes. How's your wife? Denton asked politely. She died last year, Lammer answered in a flat, unemotional voice. My lord took our son for a soldier, and he was killed in battle somewhere. They put boiling pitch on him. After that, my wife stopped eating. It didn't take her long to die. I'm sorry, Denton sympathized. It was very beautiful. They're both better off, Lammer declared. They aren't cold or hungry anymore. Which kind of tree roots have you been eating? Birch is the best, Denton told him. Spruce has too much pitch and the yolk's too tough. You boil some grass with the roots to give them a bit of flavor. I'll have to try it. I've got to get back, Denton said. My lord's got me clearing trees and will have me flogged if I stay away too long. Maybe I'll see you again sometime. If we both live. Bye, Denton. Goodbye, Lamar. Two voices drifted away. Garion stood quite still for a long time after they were gone, his mind numb with shock and with tears of sympathy standing in his eyes. The worst part of it was the matter-of-fact way in which the two had accepted it all. A terrible anger began to burn in his throat. He wanted suddenly to hit somebody. Then there was another sound off in the fog. Somewhere in the forest, nearby, someone was singing. The voice was a light, clear tenor, and Garion could hear it quite plainly as it drew closer. The song was filled with ancient wrongs, and the refrain was a call to battle. Irrationally, Garion's anger focused on the unknown singer. His vapid bawling about abstract injustices seemed somehow obscene in the face of the quiet despair of Lammer and Denton. Without thinking, Garion drew his sword and crouched slightly behind the shattered wall. The song came yet nearer, and Garion could hear the step of a horse's hooves in the wet snow. Carefully he poked his head out from behind the wall, and the singer appeared out of the fog, no more than 20 paces away. He was a young man dressed in yellow hose, with a bright red jerkin. His fur-lined cloak was tossed back, and he had a long, curved bow slung over one shoulder and a well-sheathed sword at the opposite hip. His reddish-gold hair fell smoothly down his back from beneath a pointed cap with a feather rising from it. Although his song was grim and he sang it in a voice throbbing with passion, there was about his youthful face a kind of friendly openness that no amount of scowling could erase. Garion glared at this empty-headed young nobleman, quite certain that the singing fool had never made a real meal of tree roots, or mourned the passing of a wife who had starved herself to death out of grief. The stranger turned his horse and, still singing, rode directly toward the broken arch of the gateway, beside which Garion lurked in ambush. Garion was not normally a belligerent boy, but under other it's getting to that time, guys. Hey, Israel. Hey, congratulations on being accepted into the university, man. No interruption. That's really awesome. That's great. Really, really cool, man. I'm glad to hear. Garion was not normally a belligerent boy, and under other circumstances he might have approached the situation differently. The gaudy young stranger, however, had presented himself at precisely the wrong time. Maybe in university they'll teach you how to read like me, because I can't read. Garion's quickly devised plan had the advantage of simplicity. Since there was nothing to complicate it, it worked admirably up to a point. No sooner had the lyric young man passed through the gate No sooner had the lyric young man passed through the gate than Garion stepped from his hiding place, grasped the back of the rider's cloak, and yanked him bodily out of the saddle. With a startled outcry and a wet splat, the stranger landed unceremoniously on his back in the slush at Garion's feet. The second part of Garion's plan, however, fell completely apart. Even as he moved in to take the fallen rider prisoner at sword point, the young man rolled, came to his feet, and drew his own sword, seemingly all in one motion. His eyes were snapping with anger, and his sword weaved threateningly. Garion was not a fencer, but his reflexes were good, and the chores he had performed at Faldor's farm had hardened his muscles. Despite the anger which had moved him to attack in the first place, he had no real desire to hurt this young man. His opponent seemed to be holding his sword lightly, almost negligently, and Garion thought that a smart blow on the blade might very well knock it out of his hand. He swung quickly, but the blade flicked out of the path of the heavy swipe and clashed with the steely ring down on his own sword. Garion jumped back and made another clumsy swing. The swords rang. Then the air was filled with the clash and scrape and bell-like rattle as the two of them banged and parried and feinted it with their blades. It took Garion only a moment to realize that his opponent was much better at this than he was, and that the young man had ignored several opportunities to strike at him. In spite of himself, he began to grin at the excitement of their noisy contest. The stranger's answering grin was open, even friendly. "All right, that's enough of that." It was Mr. Wolf. The old man was striding toward them with Barrack and Silk close on his heels. "Just exactly what do you two think you're doing?" Garion's opponent, after one startled glance, lowered his sword. "Belgarath," he began. "Leldarin." Wolf's tone was scathing. "Have you lost what little sense you've had to begin with?" Several things clicked into place in Garion's mind simultaneously as Wolf turned on him coldly. "Well, Garion, would you like to explain this?" Garion instantly decided to try guile. "Grandfather," he said, stressing the word and giving the young stranger a quick warning look. "You didn't think we were really fighting, did you? Leldarin here was just showing me how you block someone's sword when he attacks, that's all." "Really?" Wolf asked skeptically. "Of course," Garion said, all innocence now. "What possible reason could there be for us to be trying to hurt each other?" Leldarin opened his mouth to speak, but Garion deliberately stepped on his foot. "Leldarin's really good," he rushed on, putting his hand in a friendly fashion on the young man's shoulder. "He taught me a lot in just a few minutes." Let it stand. Silk's fingers flickered at him in the minute gestures of the Drasnian secret language. "Always keep a lie simple." "The lad's an apt pupil, Belgarath," Leldarin said lamely, finally understanding. "He's agile, if nothing else," Mr. Wolf replied dryly. "What's the idea behind all the frippery?" He indicated Leldarin's gaudy clothes. "You look like a maypole." "The Mimbrates had started detaining honest historians for questioning," the young Arend explained, "and I had to pass several of their strongholds. I thought that if I dressed like one of their toadies, I wouldn't be bothered." "Maybe you've got better sense than I thought," Wolf conceded grudgingly. He turned to Silk and Barrack. "This is Leldarin, son of the Baron of Windentor. He'll be joining us." "I wanted to talk to you about that, Belgarath," Leldarin put in quickly. "My father commanded me to come here, and I can't disobey him, but I am pledged in a matter of extremest urgency." "Every young nobleman in Astoria is pledged in at least 2 or 3 such matters of urgency," Wolf replied. "I'm sorry, Leldarin, but the matter we're involved in is much more important to be postponed, while you is much too important to be postponed, while you go out to ambush a couple of Mimbrate tax collectors." Aunt Poll approached them out of the fog, then, with Dernick striding protectively at her side. "What are they doing with the swords, father?" she demanded, her eyes flashing. "Playing," Mr. Wolf replied shortly. "Or so they say. This is Leldarin. I think I've mentioned him to you." Aunt Poll looked at Leldarin up and down with one raised eyebrow. "A very colorful young man." "Clothes are a disguise," Wolf explained. "He's not as frivolous as all that. Not quite, anyway. He's the best bowman in Astoria, and we might need his skill before we're done with all this." "I see," she said, somewhat unconvinced. "There's another reason, of course," Wolf continued, "but I don't think we need to get into that just now, do we?" "Are you still worried about that, father?" she asked with exasperation. "The Marin Codex is very obscure, and none of the other versions say anything at all about the people it mentions. It could be pure allegory, you know. I've seen a few too many allegories turn out to be plain fact to start gambling at this point," he said. "Why don't we all go back to the tower? It's a bit cold and wet out here for lengthy debates on textual variations." Garion glanced at Silk, baffled by this exchange, but the little man returned his look with a blank incomprehension. "Will you help me catch my horse, Garion?" Leldarin asked politely, sheathing his sword. "Of course," Garion replied, also putting away the weapon. "I think he went that way." Leldarin picked up his bow, and the two of them followed the horse's tracks off in the ruins. "I'm sorry I pulled you off your horse," Garion apologized, when they were out of the sight of the others. "Don't matter," Leldarin laughed easily. I should have been paying more attention. He looked quizzically at Garion. Why did you lie to Belgrath? It wasn't exactly a lie, Garion replied. We weren't really trying to hurt each other, and sometimes it takes hours trying to explain something like that. Luldarin laughed again, an infectious sort of laugh. In spite of himself, Garion could not help but join in. Both laughing, they continued together down an overgrown street, between the low mounds of slush-covered rubble. And I'm going to stop there, guys. Thanks for hanging out today for our Supporters Sunday and our Mod Appreciation Day. Thank you for the donations and the follows, and the company more than anything. Vayne, it was good to have you back in stream again. Moose, you're doing a really good job. Garridan as well. Israel, congratulations on university. That's awesome. Whatever you do, choose something you love and stick with it. That's the best advice I can give you. Don't be afraid to fail. That's how you learn. Everybody else, it's probably good advice too, but for us old men, go do your thing, get some rest, have a good time. Tomorrow night we'll resume the longest journey and we'll read another part of Queen of Sorcery. My name is Joe, and this has been Game Life Game. And I will get in touch with you mods about divvying up your the donations and see how we're going to handle it. But we can talk about that during the week and figure it out. For now, I'm going to bed because I'm going to get up and go to the gym in the morning and see if I can accelerate this weight loss a little bit. Ah, it's awesome, dude. It'd be very nice to have you in the stream, Israel. Really good you stopped by tonight to tell us that. I really appreciate it, man. I'm really, really happy to hear that you're going to university. It's excellent. Night, Dr. Madnar. Night, Vayne. Night, Israel. Night, Moose. Night, anybody else who's still watching. And I will catch you guys on the morrow. Like I said, for Longest Journey. The schedule is posted for the week. I will get to Delve Stats probably tomorrow before stream. And that's pretty much it. This has been Game Life Game, and my name is Joe. Remember that life is what happens in between games, so go live your life. Be good to the people around you. Smile, and make someone's day today, okay? And I will see you next time. Good night.